There we are. We are here. We are
Yay.
here. We are here. We are here. Uh, I just want to first thank you for being here with me in this space today. It's a really chill vibe. It's a really chill vibe. Um, First of all, everyone, welcome. Mother Creatrix here. Okay.
Woo-hoo.
We had a lot of conflict, as you know. We had a lot of conflict trying to, you know what I'm saying? Well, for me, trying to get here and trying to get into this space today, but we're here. And I'm very
That's right.
happy to be here. And I'm very happy that you are here. And I would just love for you to, just take a couple of seconds just to introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what you're about, you know what I'm saying? And yeah.
Oh, you're just gonna put me on the spot like that. Oh my God. I really didn't think of like an intro or nothing, honestly. I was
Oh,
like all my
no.
notes, I'm just like,
Oh, you say,
we're just
look.
gonna talk about it right
Look.
here.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so first, I mean, thanks for even having me on your platform. I really appreciate that. So yeah, because I watch your stuff and just the way that you post and like your edits and things, like, girl, like what's tea? Like, I need some of that in my life. You do things very beautifully. It looks very well crafted every single time. So
Yeah.
yeah, and especially considering that I don't do none of that shit, I'm just like, just very honored to be here. So thank you. But yeah, so my Instagram and YouTube is well, no, it's different now. Sorry. My YouTube is Solar Sees the World. Instagram Solar Empress Tarot. Um, Wait, are you there? Oh my God,
Okay, yeah, I can hear you now. You're good.
it looked like it froze.
Yeah, it did
Okay,
for a split second, but
okay,
I hear
cool. Girl, I still okay. There it is. I'm like, I hear you, but it's still stuck on the same. All right. Um, but yeah, so I just talk about my spiritual journey, working with deities occasionally. I do like symbol decoding, just I kind of just whatever the fuck I feel like talking about,
Yeah,
whatever my subscribers vote for. Yeah, I just try
yeah,
to keep it light because it's a lot of craziness in the spiritual space, especially these days. So yeah.
yes. We love all things metaphysical up in this space. Okay, so I feel like we started. We had this plan to do about a week ago, and I ended up
Mhm.
moving into today, not even knowing that today was going to be the Scorpio full moon. So it's just like this is so on brand. You know what I'm saying? Just
Yeah,
for like what we're going to be talking about today. And that's gonna
very.
be shadow work, baby. That's gonna be shadow work
Woohoo.
because this is the thing about it. A lot of us, are out here on this spiritual journey, taking this walk, you know what I'm saying, for self-betterment, self-healing, generational curse breaking. But um,
Mhm.
the one of the biggest, greatest factors of this journey is the shadow work, in my personal opinion.
No, you're right.
And yeah, and for a lot of people, and it's just about, you know, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into it. Okay. So um my first question for you would be, what is shadow work? If someone were to ask, what is shadow work, like, what does it mean to you? Just, let's get into it.
Okay, yeah. So for me, shadow work is and if I look down, I'm like looking at my notes.
Oh yes, vice
So
versa.
just letting you know. Cool. So for me, shadow work is just doing any form of inner work. Again, because of how mainstream like spirituality is now, and everyone does things a little bit differently, which is great. But I feel like there's a lot of like, shadow work's become like a buzz term, so to speak. And I don't think that people really understand just like the depths of it, or even fuck the depths. I mean, even like you can do some light shadow work. Any type of self-reflecting is shadow work. I mean, even I think last time we talked about Carl Jung a little bit. Um, Sorry, I like wrote in like tiny little font, so I'm trying to read that
Mhm.
without my glasses. So, like he describes the shadow as the primitive and instinctive side of the individual, right? And that's often concealed from your conscious mind and from like society, right? So, yeah, just kind of unraveling those pieces and integrating, your unconscious body with, who you are and how you
Yeah.
present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I thought about like that just came to my mind. I feel like my shadow was actually kind of popping out earlier today when I had a little encounter, everybody, you know what I'm saying? A little car maintenance encounter, and I pretty much felt like they was trying to play with me, you know what I'm saying, a little bit.
Mhm.
And yeah, shadow definitely popped out. So when you were talking, I was like, like that's like that nucky buck type of energy, and
Exactly.
like that even leads me to ask, what, including anger, what other emotions do you feel like your shadow kind of comes through? Like when does that shadow come through?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
That's a really good question because if I'm being honest, I think every emotion. Because when I mentioned before, like shadow work can be kind of light. Some people call it like your golden shadow. But you could also have kind of like think about people who have inflated egos, right?
Mhm, mhm,
So anytime they get like that boost of like whatever, like
mhm.
serotonin because someone just praised them for existing, right? Like that's a shadow that they need to kind of work out, and it might not feel as deep as like some of the heavier stuff, right? By
Yeah.
like working through like abuse or like childhood trauma and certain things like that, but it's all under the same umbrella. And to me, like I do quote the Bible and all that. So like a big thing that I like to always say is that all sins are created equal, right?
Mhm,
So all shadows are created equal. Like I've had people come to me and they're like, they don't feel as though that they've struggled enough to have certain anxieties or have certain like spouts of depression. And it's like, well, I have a good life and I get to be a musician and I get to travel and da da da. And like, some people don't have that. So like legit, like this happened to a friend of mine who again musician and all that. Somebody was like peeping through her window and she had to move. Yeah, girl, like people were being reckless. Yeah, so she moved. She had like all of these things that happen, and I'm like, you being uprooted from your place. Any someone peeping in for one, that's violating,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah,
But you having to uproot yourself, like that's a root chakra issue. Like you're
yeah,
putting trauma on that energetic like part of your body. Like of course you're going to be feeling things, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you think that because you're thin and white that you can't have feelings, like that's a shadow. Like what's that? Like let's dissect that a little bit.
yeah.
Or even how you were saying before, like what happened with you this morning.
Mhm.
And like I know that we talked beforehand and you're
Yeah.
just like, you know what, I'm sorry about this and da da da. And I'm just like, girl, no, like bring that shit out, because like a lot of times our shadows come out because it's justified to do so. And
Right.
it's through integrating that shadow that we know when it is time to nuck and buck and when it's time to be like, all right, nah, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I think it's real important. Like I feel like especially coming on this path, we do a lot of like overcorrection, because we're trying to, high vibe, keep the peace and, elevate and like,
Yeah.
we know better, so we got to do better. Nah, I
Yeah.
know better. So I'm gonna come on that ass. Like I'm about to get you, you know what I'm saying?
Yo, that's so real.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like, as a Scorpio moon, like that's so real because I just feel like even like when it comes to, and we're going to get more into planetary energies further down the line, but like when it comes to those passionate feelings, you know what I'm saying? And especially, in these bodies that you and I are in as Black women, you got the whole angry Black woman,
Exactly.
thing. And it's like, yeah, damn right, I'm angry. Like, what about it? You know what I'm
Like,
saying?
look
So,
outside, bitch. Like, yes.
yes,
Like,
actually, yes, and this is why, like, and it
right.
be completely logical and, appropriate, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's just like also not really trying to put a cap or a cap on the way that you express that anger, and like
Mhm.
even honoring the aspects of shadow work that allow for creation. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And just the the part of shadow work where you transmute, because
Yes.
that is a very huge part. On my end, for me, it's just, the reflection is huge because it's, acknowledging how you feel and being very raw about acknowledging how you feel. Because when you
Mhm.
can't acknowledge the truth of, how you feel, you're just really not allowing it to express, and it kind of just,
Yes.
it stays inside, and it, continues to brew up, you know
Mhm.
what I'm saying, until, a lot of us get to that point where we're just like, I'm done, and then that's, you're looking like the crazy person, but it's like, no, like they actually had me fucked up. So
Exactly. And there's a long list of them having you fucked up that no one knows about because we didn't talk about this in the moment.
exactly, exactly. And I
Yeah.
just love like being able to honor that, because I just feel like I can't tell you how many times I personally heard that I was doing too much. You know what I'm saying? Or, just being gaslit out of
Mhm.
my emotions, and, being put into a place where I'm like, like, was I tripping? Or, like, and of course, it's good to have those reflective moments where you say, was I tripping? Because that kind of pops up more
Right.
to the aspects where we begin to take accountability, like, for where the times that we
Mhm.
are wrong. And I would feel like, you would agree that taking accountability and being able to admit, hey, there's times that I'm wrong, is like probably one of the biggest parts of shadow work.
Yes,
Yeah.
110% for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's I think another reason why a lot of people are afraid of it or deter from doing shadow work because like in their head they've just been right all the time. Like even if they know that certain things like if I say like 4 plus 4 is 16, obviously like I'm wrong, right? I have no problem admitting that. But when
Yeah.
it comes to like just more deeper things of like, hey, when I brought my crush around, I noticed that you were being a little bit extra flirty like, and then I'm
Right.
just like, no, the fuck, I wasn't, and just spazzing out and doing that. When in actuality, yeah, maybe I'm being a little bit of a pick me, and I'm like, and you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
yeah. So having, giving yourself that space to actually kind of replay and hold yourself accountable, like for sure,
Yes.
like
Yes.
100%. Yeah, yeah.
So my next question would be it's kind of like a double question.
Mhm.
What do you feel like and I think you kind of already went into this, but pretty much what do you feel like the science is behind shadow work, and who does it affect? Who do you feel it affects?
Oh, you have like the best questions ever. Oh my god.
Thank you.
Okay, so I personally believe everyone is affected by shadow work. Even if you do it, even if you don't interact with people that do it, like whatever. Because are you familiar with the book? God, it's called The Courage to Be Disliked.
No.
Girl, check it out. Okay, look, when I heard about it, it was a free audiobook on YouTube. I don't know if they took it down yet, but girl, get on it.
Yes. What is it called
It's a real
again?
good one. The Courage to Be Disliked.
Oh, the
And
courage.
it kind of, yeah, it's really good because it kind of talks about like showing you how to kind of take your emotions out of your interactions with people.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times it is like, again, with like how you said somebody told you that you were doing too much.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like understanding like yeah, you can have that self-reflecting of like, was I doing too much? Or you can be like, actually, I was too much for you.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And that's true for you. But in
Mhm.
that moment, this is the best that I can do with the materials and tools that I have. So sorry if I like stomped around and threw some shit because that's not great, right?
Right.
We want to be able to control our anger, but
Yeah.
also like if I'm staring daggers at you and my voice is just a little bit heated, like there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not doing too much in that
Right.
moment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's because I feel violated, I feel attacked, and this is what's happening. So
Yes.
anyway, say all that to
Mm.
say in the courage to be disliked, they talk about that every issue that we have are interpersonal issues. So pretty much like if we didn't have interactions with people, right, or if other people just didn't exist, we wouldn't have most of the problems that we have, right? So having said that, yeah, everyone gets affected,
Yeah.
and it's because like the mildest of interactions can trigger anything, like whether it be positive or negative. Like anytime we are with someone else there's a manipulation of emotions that's happening, whether it be, for the better or for the worse.
Right.
So I think everyone is kind of affected by it to whatever degree.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. And I completely agree with that. Like, I wasn't even thinking on that level. Like, as soon as you said everyone, I was like, you know what, you're right. Like, it really is everyone. Like, for me, I was thinking more on like generational levels, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Where
okay.
like, and no, like what you said is like completely valid and true. Like, and like for me, I was thinking on like generational levels of just those traits that got passed down to us from mom, dad, grandma, up and up and up, you know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
just like those traumas and all of those different things, and just like those times I've noticed for me, those times where I'm in like maybe like a deep depression or like a sadness or like just like a really low point or a point where I'm feeling just really high intense levels of emotional energy. I have every now and then I have those little pings where I remember, hey, like this, it isn't just you that's felt this before, you know what I'm saying? And in
Mhm.
that moment, I feel like kind of surrounded and embraced by my ancestors. And just every now and then, I don't know about you, but every now and then I feel like this feeling from them where it's just like, we know that this is passed down. Like we know that we passed this on to you, and it's almost like they feel for me, like they feel for
Mhm.
us. And because we're down here doing the work and doing that shadow work, and really, which is really just a culmination of reflection, going within, really facing raw, pure emotions, moving through the different ways to transmute and learning about ourselves, what
Yes.
does trigger me? Why did this trigger me? Asking ourselves all of those why questions,
Mhm.
like why. I feel like that word in itself is another huge part of shadow work itself. But tying it
Yes.
all back around to, I'm even thinking about the 10 of Pentacles right now. Like generational wealth is emotional. It's emotional wealth and emotional health.
Mhm.
That is a beautiful source. That is something beautiful to pass down, like onto, and that's if you even decide to, procreate and, continue to, you know, but, I definitely agree with you when you say it affects everyone. And I think I spoke with you last time and I was just saying how I didn't even know that it could affect. I wasn't really aware because I was so like, oh, I'm going to break these generational curses. I wasn't aware that it would affect the people in my waking life around me, aunt,
Mhm.
my mom, and, like siblings and, the people, my family around me and my friends around me now. Um, and then I just also, of course, feels like it just acts as, a source of inspiration, for others.
Yeah.
But I think there's always going to be that reminder that, you never really know what people had to go through. So it really is going to look different for everyone, shadow work and how you do it. Because it could
Mhm.
be reflecting just with yourself and with your thoughts. It could be through getting into a journal and, get into some
Right.
magic. And I would love to know for you, like, how do you feel like, you know, shadow work and journal magic kind of intertwine?
Okay, yeah. Well, first, before we get into that, I just wanted to say, like, you telling about your ancestors kind of like holding you in those
Oh,
moments,
yes,
like
yes, yes.
legit gave me like goosebumps.
Yeah.
Big love. I love it.
Yeah.
But so journaling, when it comes to like shadow work and journaling, like I don't I hate journaling. I'm not gonna lie. Like I
That's
truly fucking
real.
hate it.
That's
Like it's
real. That's real.
yeah, and I don't think it's like because I process things up here a lot faster than what I can like
Yeah.
speak, and that's why I'd be like stuttering half the time, or like even like
Mhm.
writing stuff out, and
Mhm.
then like if I'm writing it out and I'm like trying to do it, you can't even read the shit, so
Yeah.
it's kind of like, what's
Yeah.
the
That
point?
Uranus energy. Yeah.
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 So for me, I do sit and just talk with myself. Like
Mhm.
I'm my therapist. I mean, I have been in and out of therapy like most of my life, like most of us are.
Yeah.
If you're trying to figure shit out, on this path. And hell, even therapy, that's a form of shadow work,
Yes.
right? It's helping you get back to you.
Yes.
So I think journaling and shadow work are intertwined because it's kind of like giving you a more objective perspective of a situation. Because even if you're writing things out and you're just like, she's a fugly bitch, I cannot stand this gangster,
Yes.
like just on your burn book stuff or whatever. Like, I don't know. Let me know if this rings true for you because, like, for me, if I am on that, like, at some point, I still get to the root,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I do think that it's important because it helps you just kind of like, um, it takes you out of the it takes you out of the thick of it, to where you
Yeah.
can do that a little bit more and be more receptive to it, right? Because if you're heated and I just come to you and tell you that you're wrong, like not you in particular, right? But just a person, you're not going to be ready to receive that,
Yeah.
right? So it's just kind of like another process, for sure. But
Yeah.
yeah. So
Have you
and then if
Natasha?
I'm sorry.
Heavy on the processing. Yeah.
Right, right. And then I've also done I would say like every year that I do shadow work, because I try to time it with like the seasons. So I do
Mhm.
it like every like winter.
Yeah.
Um I've always just done something different. So like this past one, I was working through I had these two workbooks. One was for CPTSD, the other one was for boundaries, because that's been like reoccurring theme for me is
Mhm.
not standing on business. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I had to, that's what it was. But the first time I did shadow work, I did Conjure Queen. Do you follow her on
I
YouTube? Or
love her.
yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So
Yes.
she had a ritual that she gave out about shadow work. And so I just followed that ritual, and that shit fucked me up in the
Wow.
best way, but
Yeah.
I was not prepared for the things that were coming to me, the things that I saw. Girl, that's a whole video in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big
Yeah.
shout out
So
to
I do
Conjure
think
Queen, y'all. If y'all don't know about
yes.
Conjure Queen, rock
Blah,
with her.
blah, blah.
Okay. Yeah.
Big up. Yes.
I've been rocking with her for a few I actually since the beginning of my spiritual journey, now that I think about it. But yes, we love her.
Mhm.
Shout out to her. That's a resource we give out, and she's really big on resources as well, which is
Oh yeah.
which makes sense for how you came into that. So I love that. Yes. But I wanted to get a little bit into the astrology of shadow work.
No.
And I went through, we talked about a few different planets. But I first wanted to get into, what do you think, Pluto or Saturn?
Oh, girl.
Yeah.
I don't know. We gotta let's build up for mama. Let's build up. That's
Yeah.
Saturn.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Let's
Yeah,
do
you're right. You're right. You're right.
that.
Or we could get into the moon. We could definitely get into the moon. So for me, the moon is, for me, it's your emotional body, your emotion.
Mhm.
It's who you are when you are to yourself and by yourself. And I believe I heard someone say one time, your moon can kind of be that representation of your shadow, since a lot of times, your shadow can come out the most when you are alone, and a lot of times, um, I'm getting into a little bit of like rejection right now. That's
Mhm.
coming up. But that version and that person that we are when we are alone, that the people closest to us might be able to see. Oftentimes we feel a sense of rejection, or that fear of rejection when it comes to allowing these aspects to be seen, whether it is through rage, anger, sadness, even tears, because um, I think
Stop
this,
crying. Fix your
yeah,
face. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, all of that. I'll
Mhm.
give you a reason to cry, it's like,
Oh,
like we know about that,
yeah.
definitely as Black people, but I think that's really everybody. Like I've seen that in all different races and all different people.
Yeah.
You know
I
what I'm
had
saying?
somebody be like their parents used to talk shit whenever they were happy. So like they've learned how to just kind of mask like in a very stoic manner. And
Yeah.
like even just being like, and it's crazy because when they get drunk, obviously, I mean, we all get a little silly when we're drunk, right?
Right.
But they are a complete fool. And like a good way. Like it's not like you're
Yeah,
just like, okay, come
yeah.
get your man's, but because when we indulge and then do escapisms
Um,
and all that, like that's another way our shadows come out to play.
yeah,
But it's just so interesting to see because he'll literally like mean mug people who are laughing or who are just like enjoying themselves until he's like intoxicated. And that's when he's like, I can be me now.
wow.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, like how like your shadow can be any emotion. It can
Wow.
truly like just be anything.
And
Yeah.
I never thought about the aspect of masking happiness. Like, was this person Black?
Yes.
Like,
Mhm.
and for me, it even that just took me all the way back to like slavery times, because you're not really supposed to be seen displaying too
Mhm.
much joy. And if you were, that's when it became a problem. And it even makes me think of characters like High John the Conqueror, who, like, he kind of was that uplifting energy, and like, and this is it's all connecting, but like, the energy with us, where they say Black people can't take nothing serious. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like always finding those ways
Yeah.
to uplift the energy and bring a sense of joy and laughter, through these really dark, twisted events and time
Yeah.
periods that
And I
um
love that for us.
yeah, I
Sorry.
really
Go ahead.
do. Like, like we here with it, like literally. I'm
Yes.
I'm on thing.
And I would say like it's kind of a double-edged sword sometimes because it's like while I appreciate the transmutation of that energy,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
bringing out the memes and making everything
Mhm.
funny, but then it's also like, are we masking because we can't
Ooh,
really process? Like we don't want to keep on dissecting racism down. You know what I'm saying? Every
yeah,
little thing that happens, every global event, da da da. Like it's fucking exhausting, but it's
yeah.
also like something needs to change,
Now you
right?
gotta
So
do.
it's I feel like we're in this weird space, right? So while I'm like, yes, like by all means transmute that energy, like turn everything to a fucking joke, but then it's like, or is this like kind of a way that we're kind of being stuck and stagnant because
Ooh.
you just turn everything into a joke? And it's like, can we dissect the shit and then, kind of like go from there? Like let's laugh like 2 years later when shit can actually be funny. Like let's process this for a moment.
Oh my God. Wait. Okay, okay. That was too real. Hold on.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. That's just been weighing heavy on my spirit.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So that just kind of, for me, gave me the ping of this is why we individually do the work,
Mhm.
because it comes up in conversations like what we're having now. Other people watch it and they're like, you know what, yeah, like you kind of speaking facts, you know what I'm saying? And it just domino effect, you know what I'm saying? Well, not domino because we're not falling, we're going up, but you
Right.
know what I'm talking
Reverse
about.
domino.
Yeah, reverse domino effect, you know. But also just, coming back into when I was speaking on being able to face those raw emotions with yourself is like really, it's like, wow, like kind of even right now I'm in this moment, I'm like seeing and feeling how that will play out in the collective. It's like, as above, so below. And
Mhm.
I think about, mycelium, like how the fungi all connects and there's like this whole like interwired system. We're kind of the same way as
Yeah.
humans in the way that we function. And, especially the closer that you get to, lineage and,
Mhm.
ethnic background and things like that, it's there's a difference between groupthink and just kind of an overall collective
Collective consciousness.
consciousness. Yes, yes,
Right. Yeah. It's like hive mind versus collective consciousness.
yes. And that
Yeah.
I would love to break that down. What do you think?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. All right. So for me, I guess like hive mind is, I mean, shit, we see it every day online, don't we?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you
yeah,
have
yes,
people just kind of just reciting just talking points that they heard from somebody else who heard it from someone else who heard it from someone else, right? It's like a game of telephone.
yeah,
Um, and also just by how much division there is right now, whether it's like political or even like with your gender or non-gender, however you want to, you know what I'm saying? Like we have a whole gender war outside, a lot of things. So it's very like you get into these spaces where it's like, yeah, you're making points, and I can see why certain groups need to be held accountable, but I can't take you serious because you're not putting yourself on that same accountability like stand, right?
yeah,
And no one in that group, no one in those groups hold each other accountable, right? So then everyone just kind of just starts thinking the same. They do the same shit. They wear the same uniforms, right? And the second you are like, hey, actually, maybe you could have said da 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 instead of having an emotionally charged argument towards someone, right?
right,
And
right.
then it's just like shun the non-believer. So that's like hive mind versus collective consciousness, right? So like um I would say like collective consciousness for me, like we have that example of like the monkeys, right? Using like they used a tool, and monkeys on different continents end up using like the same type of instrument or whatever. Like
Oh wow.
I don't know, yeah, and it was like kind of like in the same time period. Like
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
maybe within a month, week, I don't know how, but it was a short amount of time. Like
Mm.
just everybody kind of like picked up on this, right? And I think that we do have those moments collectively, especially with I think it came through real hard during the pandemic, you know? And
Mhm.
even though like it was still that division of like people who wear masks, don't wear masks, if you got the shot, you didn't get the shot, like
Yeah,
all of that.
it was really strong during that time,
It
yeah.
was strong, but I would say it's because they had to make it that strong because of the collective consciousness that was going on. Because even with all the chaos, there was such an like an underlying calm
Yeah,
that sweeps the nation. Do you know what I'm
yes,
saying?
yes,
And it was kind of like, oh no, like y'all niggas not panicking, like
yeah,
like
yeah,
more death, more death, like
yeah,
just
yeah,
sprinkling a whole bunch of bullshit on top of that because there was this moment, this wake up of like, you know what doesn't serve us, like the fact that we're making like minimum wage, below minimum wage. Hell, I don't even make minimum wage. It's still not a living wage. You know
yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying? Compared to the shit that's going on, inflation and all that. Or the God, what was the other point I was gonna say? I forgot. But basically, I just feel like we all kind of got fed up with how our structure was as a
Yeah,
society. Like we realized, like, hey, like I understand this is what we've been doing for however long, but right now, like,
it
it's
ain't
too much
working.
friction.
Yeah.
Yeah, like something, we can't get jiggy with this shit. So
And I just feel like that's kind of, I believe there was some type of transition with Pluto that kind of happened around that time.
Yeah.
So that even kind of, makes me, think of that energy. Pluto, it rules over death and
Mhm.
transformation and destruction and all of those
Ooh.
things. So it's just like, I don't know if it's an Aquarius right now, but it's like I know it was an Aquarius at some point. But what I do know is that when it comes to those plutonic energies, it's really just been a collective
Exactly.
realization. This ain't
Well, it's
right.
a
This ain't right.
generational.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, go
Oh
ahead.
no, you're
My bad.
good. You're good.
Yeah.
Um, mhm.
Yeah, because Pluto and what is it? Uranus and Neptune, right? Those are more like generational planets,
Yes,
if
yes.
I'm not mistaken. I
Yeah.
don't know. You're the astrology girl. I didn't
Yeah.
I dibble and dabble, but this your wheelhouse. But yeah, so like when we see those transitions, like generationally, like those are collective consciousness planets for sure. Like I mean, and they interact, because as above, so below, as within, so without. So even though they rule the collective, they also rule inside of you as well, and even how you interact with rebelling against like society standards, right? Well, I guess that's more Uranus with the rebellion,
Mhm.
but or how you take that transformation right from Pluto, how you uh how you see things and take it in, and what does that look like for you in particular, not just for the generation, because if you got Pluto and Capricorn is going to be a lot different than a Pluto and Scorpio,
Yes.
or Pluto and anything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And is your Pluto in Sagittarius?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah. So yeah, I think that's one of those generational things. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people who are going to be watching this, have that Pluto and Sagittarius energy. And, you know, Pluto working with that energy is the way that we can transform our own lives and other people's lives as well, through that lens of inspiration. And I feel like when you combine Pluto and Sag, it's really a lot of learning. It's a lot of knowledge. It's a lot of wisdom. It's a lot of even learning through travel and, transforming through travel and
Mhm.
just kind of going around and just creating those ripple effects through all of the different places that, we go. But also, with that Aquarius energy, we're bringing it online. We're bringing it online. We're on Zoom with it. We on YouTube with it. We on
Yeah.
Instagram with it. We're connecting. Like,
Mhm.
this whole, connection kind of started, because you started your YouTube channel. I was exploring, I think I was doing like some research on like deity work or deity magic. And I found your channel. I found your YouTube channel. I was like, oh my gosh, she's dope as fuck. I want to
Oh,
connect
thank you,
with her.
girl.
Yes, I want to connect. And found each other on Instagram and became mutuals, you know what I'm saying? And just like really it's such a great value in coming into and meeting people who, like yourself, that share those same values when it comes to, the work that we do and why we do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it all starts off with self. Like
Mhm.
for me, there was a part of myself I realized I had really bad anger problems. I was like, oh no, this ain't gonna work. Like, I'm like,
Right.
I got anger problems. I'm hearing relatives' voices in my head, talking down on me, and I'm like going through it. My room is like a freaking hot mess tornado all the time. And, I'm like over here punching doors and I'm like, hold on,
Oh my Lord.
this ain't functional. This ain't
Yeah.
functional. So that for me was the point where I was like, I gotta heal. I started going to therapy. This was back in 2019. Started going to therapy. And really started unpacking the trauma and the pain and just all of the factors throughout my childhood that play a role and an effect in how I am today. And it's just like the main goal, I think, for a lot of us is just to kind of function in a healthy way.
Yeah.
We wake
Yeah.
up, you don't want to wake up and, not look forward to it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's something that I've felt before. I've experienced these, I think we both probably experienced these darker sides of emotion, but it's like, you know, the more that we work through these things and release and clear, you know what I'm saying? And we have about 3 minutes. I don't know if you can see it on your end.
Oh, no.
Um, but yeah, so yes, yes, yes. Yeah. But yeah, the more that we kind of work through these things and, clear things up, it's packed light. I'm thinking about Eric about this shit.
Exactly. Yes. I
Light.
was just about to, girl, we're here because I was about to say that. Like,
Yeah.
that's literally how you help develop your light body. And so
Yeah.
before, when you were asking about, I think you didn't mention it this time, but last time we were talking
Mhm.
about like how can shadow work stabilize your magic? It's
Yes.
that shit right there. You
Yeah.
developing your light body because like especially if you conjure spirits and shit, a lot of them don't want to come through if it's all muddled. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there's certain things you have to do to strip that shit off of you, and shadow
Yeah.
work being the most powerful of those tools, right? Because especially if you're working with deities, if you're not together, body, mind, and soul, like, but you're gonna get fucked up, because when you call on deities, you're like the science behind it, you're activating dormant DNA, right? Because all of this shit, again, as above, so below, as within, so without, right? So, and that's why we got a lot of like, if you look at like different angels, demons, whatever, you see like the way that system is set up. It's also set up like our inner world as well. So you got like however many demons in the Goetia is however much dormant DNA you got, or some shit like that. I
Yes.
forgot,
Like
but
72.
right, yes, thank you. So, um, having said that, so yeah, when you call on those energies, right, they're activating that side of you. So if you're not, again, like clear, like you're not really going to get the full effect from that, right? So you're just wasting everyone's time now.
Yeah.
So that's how I see it for sure. And then also like just being able to receive from spirit more,
Mm.
right? And receiving blessings, just receiving in general, right? Because if you're
Yeah.
always just uptight, like
Yeah.
on guard, like that's what you're going to keep attracting to yourself, is things that's going to make you be on guard for.
Yes.
So
Now,
yeah, last left off on the light
stabilize.
body. Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
exactly.
So yeah, just if you could just go a little bit more into, you know, what you mean when you say, like how having a light body and doing that shadow work to stabilize your magic, like how does it directly stabilize your magic and your practices? Whether, like you said, you were talking about working with deities, you mentioned that, but if you can go a little bit more into detail with that, or just general spell work, whatever comes to mind.
Ooh, yes. Okay,
Yeah,
can I do a little bit of both? Is that
yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Okay. Oh, hold on. Somebody's calling me. My lovely sister that I work for. I took time off. Are we still recording? Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Miss Ma'am, I took time off on my calendar for this moment. We had to talk about this. Why are you calling me?
Oh my goodness.
Make it stop. All right.
Look,
Does she know better?
we here
Okay.
with you. Through all the technical things, we are here.
I'm sorry. I'm a fool. I apologize.
Girl, you good. You good. Valid. We were talking about that in the last video
There we
tape.
go. Yeah. So, okay. So I know that like the light body stuff is another like kind of buzzword. So everybody has like their different version of it. Again, not negating anyone's, because if it resonates with you, then that's mean it's true for you. I truly believe that. Because I don't really believe in like just general truth,
Right,
like,
right.
you know. But yeah. So for me, light body is kind of just like your spirit, right? Your spirit energy that you come down here with. We all have a certain amount of light. And that's really kind of what when people say there's a spiritual war. To me, it's a light war, because everything that, we're getting force fed or just anything, it always comes back to your energy, right? I mean, hell, we see that with like rage marketing tactics.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, everyone just wants to harvest energy. Like, this is
Yeah.
kind of like we're at a big farm. So for
Yeah.
me, your light body is just your again, your energetic body, and that's kind of just been manipulated throughout the years, right? For better, for worse. So like we can do things like exercising, right? And that helps develop our light body, like legit making us lighter, right?
Right.
But also just, releasing those endorphins, like just kind of like giving your body that same, like, I don't know how to put it. The word escapes me. But just being kind to yourself, right?
Yeah.
Just you're kind
Yeah.
of investing in yourself. You're filling your own bucket. So that's
Mm.
one way that you can develop your light body. I mean, like hell, again, we talked about like if you have people in your life who are kind of like, giving you that negative self-talk. And so now you kind of innately you wake up and you're just like, oh, I'm so ugly and I'm horrible and I'm fat and I'm this and that and all this other stuff. Like you're diminishing your light body, right? We can see that with like think about celebrities, right? When they come through and they're in that first, like they make their first year lap of being
Yeah.
like a mainstream artist and everything, like everybody's coming to them. They got the women, they got the jewelry, they got all the things, right? And you slowly but surely seeing their light get taken away from them by
Yeah.
the certain choices that they have to make in the industry, right?
Ooh.
So it's like you get those men who are like, oh yeah, I'm never going to wear a dress for like comedy reasons or for whatever, da da da. And then 2 years, 5 years later, they're in a dress.
Yeah.
You can see the light to come out of their
You
eyes.
can.
And I'm not saying like that's a whole topic in itself, but just
Yeah.
for the sake of an example, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, or like like even with girls too, we go in the industry and it's like, yeah, I just want to be here for my talent, not really show my skin, da da da. And next thing you know, you're like twerking in a thong on stage.
Right.
Nothing wrong with it,
Yeah.
but you did not keep that same energy. Someone manipulated that, and your light has been taken away. Like you're
Yeah.
selling your soul, so to speak,
Yeah.
right? So
Mm.
yeah. So for me, like kind of how to kind of stabilize that, right? Is a lot of times our shadows, especially generational stuff, right? We see that in a cycle, right? So it's kind of like a good practice is just to reprogram those cycles, right? If you know that you and your mom always get into it on Thanksgiving, what can you do about that to reprogram that cycle,
Mhm.
right? Maybe you don't show up to Thanksgiving. No, that's not an option. Okay, well, maybe you deter from having certain conversations around her if you know that she cannot receive it in the way that you would feel comfortable, right?
Mhm.
So that's again, but I feel like all that just goes back to self-care. Your light
Yeah.
body equals self-care.
Yes.
Yeah. So
And
does
even
that
what
answer?
you're
I'm
saying.
sorry. I feel like that was kind of convoluted.
Oh, no, no, no,
Good.
it wasn't, because
Okay.
with what you're saying, it's taking me back into the aspect of just simply doing the work now that involves protecting yourself from those who kind of gain from manipulating your energy or upsetting
Exactly.
you. Even if they don't like consciously do it, like,
Yeah, because a lot
some
of times
people,
they don't.
yeah,
They
yeah,
don't because it's their shadows, right?
exactly.
You trigger other people's shadows. Sorry, but that happens
Awesome.
so
Yeah,
often,
yeah,
especially when you're just being you. When you're just
yeah,
you, and in that kind of again that Uranus energy, right, where
yeah,
you're just like letting your free self just be, right? Not only is that tapping into that childlike nature because we were all just ourselves until other people
yeah,
told us how to be,
yeah.
right? So that
Some
is yeah, exactly, and that is so triggering for so many people,
it
especially
can.
those who have like, they might fear that they have to like repress their sexuality or
Yeah,
repress like certain like things about themselves. And when you're just living your best life and they're just like, how fucking dare you?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Do you
yeah,
not feel shame? Do you not feel guilt? And it's
yeah.
like, you do clearly.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And it's like the thing about it is it's okay to feel triggered when like, you see, someone experiencing an aspect that you have within yourself as well that you
Mm.
don't might struggle to express. It's okay to feel triggered about it. And it's just like that's where, the aspect of checking yourself, kind of comes
Yeah.
in because it's like if you really got to be able to check, like if you can't check yourself, especially if you're someone who wants to consider, like someone who considers yourself a leader or wants to make an impact on a group of people in any kind of way or help people, you really got to be able to check yourself because, that, you know, it's like it's almost like keeping a vibration from being kind of birthed or created that doesn't have to be, or like,
Yeah.
situations that don't really have to, like you could spend more time, the more time you spend with yourself, checking yourself, holding yourself accountable, and really acknowledging the ugly parts of yourself,
Yeah.
like really getting real, like, I mean, getting so real with that. Like, what am I addicted to? What are my addictions? Is it smoking? Is it drinking? Is
Watching TV,
is it watching
sitting
TV?
down. Girl, when I tell you I had to do this, this was part of my
Yes,
shadow work, was
yes,
taking a technology break. And I didn't even do it for real, because I was still watching like nature documentaries.
yeah,
That broke me. That
yes,
broke me. But then it's like, so what are you? And it's crazy because I feel like a lot of us are just wired to sit in front of the TV when we come home
yeah,
from work, right?
yeah,
Because this is my chill time. Like I did so much today, right?
exactly, yeah,
But it's like we are so innately in that process that we don't even see that, like, hey, there's other options. Like, hey, you can, this is the time for where you want to like start a hobby or like whatever, just doing other things. Yeah. So I think no, you definitely ring true with that. And like getting triggered from someone else, right, is a good way to like show us where we're at in
yeah.
our work. And
Ooh,
it's
a
like if
map.
anybody needs to like advice on like, oh, well, I don't even know what shadows I have, or where should I start? That you go around people that irritate you. Because again, every issue is an interpersonal issue. There's a reason why you find them irritating, whether for better or for worse. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so get with them, figure out why you get triggered when they say some dumb shit, and
yeah.
see what comes up. Yeah.
I've noticed, and this topic in itself, this is like a one of the biggest little, I can't remember what you said, little words, like words that are like trending, but
Oh,
twin
buzzwords.
flame, that
It's
whole
what?
twin flame, that
Oh my
whole
goodness.
aspect. Yes, honey. Like,
Oh.
I've had my own, yeah, and your reaction, yeah, very valid, because okay, now when it comes to that, I have had my own experience that, you know what I'm saying, like that this is specifically for me. I'm not gonna sit up here and try to tell anybody what a twin flame is. If you know, really,
Hmm.
honestly, but for me, it was a connection where it oftentimes, for me, it looked like a connection where my shadows are being constantly brought out, and at like constantly entering situations, or a frequency where I'm being met with my shadow, or I'm being met with some type of
I
dissatisfaction
got you.
for myself. Um, you know what I'm saying? And just like seeing it
Mhm.
be completely just always mirrored, like always, like it's like a constant mirror effect. I
Yes.
feel like, and I feel like that's why they call it the twin flame. And a lot of people are like, "Oh yes, I want my twin flame. Yes, give me to me." But it's like, "Oh honey, you better be ready for
Uh,
the lessons." You
yeah.
know,
Yeah. And
it,
let's,
it could
if
be a
I'm,
beautiful experience.
it could be. I think
Yeah,
anytime that you learn and grow from an experience, it's a beautiful experience.
yeah,
Successful relationships aren't necessarily relationships where it's like, oh, we've been together 25 years.
mhm,
But if he was beating your ass for 10 of them, I don't want to hear about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, to me,
yeah,
a successful relationship, two people come together and depart on good terms, or just
yeah,
on just objective terms. Let's go there.
mhm,
It's just like,
mhm.
hey, this served me for about a year. I don't want to renew the contract.
Like,
Like,
yeah,
you
and it
know,
doesn't always have
um,
to be the twin flame aspect. It can be
yeah.
just like relationships that act as mirrors.
Can I be honest with you though?
Yeah, yeah.
Regarding twin flames, I feel as though twin flames are kind of like karmic relationships that you decide that you want to work through.
Uh,
Because you don't necessarily meet like your karmics,
right.
like you don't necessarily meet your twin flame or your soulmate.
Mhm.
That's kind of a privilege that some of us have in this lifetime, right? If you believe in that stuff.
Yeah,
So for me, it's kind of like a twin flame, like how you're describing, where it's like the mirroring and you kind of trigger each other's shadows. And I honestly feel like it was a relationship that you guys like already had before, that you agreed
right.
that you were going to work through. in
Yeah.
this reincarnation.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, to me, a twin flame is a karmic relationship. It's just a karmic where it's just like, oh, you know what? He screwed me over. I'm done with him.
Yeah.
We're leaving that over there. Versus twin flame is just like, you know what? We triggered each other and we walked away and we're coming back now because we got to work through some other stuff. You know,
Right.
it's,
Yeah.
you signed the contract that you want to work through those
Mhm,
karmic
mhm,
issues. And
mhm.
that's why they're your twin flame.
Yeah.
That's just how I personally take it. Cause like, I don't know. You've
So
seen the documentaries on Netflix.
yes, yeah. So that brings me to Saturn energies.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
would it be fair to say that Saturn deals with those karmic energies?
Oh,
Yeah,
110%.
yeah,
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure. That's like the big thing about that planet,
yeah,
for my opinion.
yeah.
Um, and so yeah, I think too, like even doing planetary magic rituals
Mhm.
for your shadow work could be beneficial. And so for that, with like Saturn in particular, just something that I've done, you know, the color for Saturn is black, right? So I've used a black candle and just meditate, right? Exactly. And just meditate with that black candle for because I wanted to see what kind of karma was coming out, right? And if you really popping your shit with Saturn, Saturn will show you those Akashic records. Saturn will show you just where you fucked up at each one of your lives that is relevant to the situation now. You know what I'm saying? So unpacking and seeing that again, that loop, that programming, that cycle, and being able to like, oh shit, okay, not only did I do this here, I did this back in 1300s, like you know, and kind of like again getting that bird's eye view perspective,
Yeah,
right? Because again, like we just kind of like get lost in the sauce sometimes when we're in the thick of it. So Saturn is
yes,
very helpful with that. Same with Pluto. Same ritual, except for so the planetary magic book that I have, and I put the stuff in the sheet.
yes,
Okay, cool. So you
yes,
have the author
yes.
and all
Yes,
that.
they're
So
all pulled up. Yes.
cool. So the in that planetary book, I believe they said that the color for Pluto was gray. That doesn't resonate with my soul, so I use purple with Pluto.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. It's very like,
Yeah.
you
That's
know,
the energy that comes with Pluto.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So it always just resonated as purple for me. So I use a
Yeah.
purple candle. And again, so Pluto dealing with transformation. So you call on it like, what energy do I need to transform? What energy needs to die off of me? Hell, I've and this is because I'm really silly with my practice. I've literally held funerals for traits of my personality that no longer serve me.
Yes.
Yeah. So I just send
Yes.
them bitches on. Like
Yes.
RIP.
That's
RIP to the bitches
true.
want to be me.
That's so real. Like,
um,
I love
and then
that.
also,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm
I said,
sorry.
I love that. I love that.
Oh, cool, cool, man. And then your sex or your kinkiness too. A
Mhm.
lot of us have a lot of shame, right, towards like certain things that we do. I mean, I don't know about you, but have you ever been with somebody and y'all did like some outrageous shit and then they didn't want to talk about it like the next day?
Yeah. Like,
That's good.
like,
Exactly.
yeah.
You got some sex shit you got to work out.
Yeah.
So Pluto is also good for that, you know, dealing with the underworlds, dealing with your genitalia is, you know, the
Yeah.
planetary association.
Yes.
So kind of like pulling that energy out because and that's something I'm still actively doing myself as well. Like and that's another thing with shadow work. It's not a stop thing. Like
Not
it's
a one
ever
and
going. So
done
even
ever.
right, like even if you do like a ritual and that's it, like you're constantly doing shadow work with
Yeah.
just again doing any type of self-reflection. So but yeah, so if you want to get into just understanding your sexuality a little bit better, I would say Pluto and your Black Moon Lilith will
Mhm.
definitely expose that for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. I really love when you said you hold funerals for past aspects of yourself because
Oh,
I
I kill everything, bitch. I will hold a
yeah,
funeral for a goddamn fly. Like I
I love
I did that
that.
shit. I was like, I divorced my father, like spiritually, like all of that. Like it's yeah, I'm
Wow.
dramatic.
Wow. I love like, but I love that though because I mean it makes me think about like the magic of kind of like Leo energy a little bit. Like the energy, it's like you put big energy into something and that is what makes it's kind of like a grand intention in a way, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like and for me, like it would be times I never knew or thought about the concept really of holding some type of ceremony or ritual for myself because when I hit those times where like, you know, I am like just really so ready for change that I feel it so deep down internally that I'm like it feels like the sensations that come with depression, and it feels like
Yeah,
the sensations that come with um slewer slider
I
ideation.
got you.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Flipping flags.
so yeah, like that type of
Yeah,
ideation. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? And it's like I heard someone told me one time, one of my friends told me one time, like those times where you feel like that is like that is just how deeply you are ready for change. That is how deeply you're
Oh.
ready for transformation. That's just how deeply you're ready for, you know, like just to
Mhm.
change, just to evolve. And
Yeah.
and yeah, so like I would just kind of go through these times and just really just be kind of going through it just to go through it. And but even like knowing, I like consciously being aware and knowing I feel like this because I feel a part of me dying, and
Yes.
like I don't know what to do with that. I don't know how to go about that. I
To
don't,
honor that.
yeah, like I don't know how to
Yeah.
honor this, and it just feels like a weight that I just kind of carried for a certain amount of time, and I just kept it pushing. So it's like I didn't, you know, it's just like it's something about intentionally releasing something. It's something
Mhm.
about intentionally clearing. I heard someone say one time, I kind of halfway resonate with it, but I heard someone say, they don't say release because it's like you're redoing something to get like you're come
Oh,
it'll come back because it's like you're redoing the same, you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
but for what the word means, um, there I just feel like that release and that clearing aspect of shadow work is so important. And I think we you know, we already kind of talked about that because of the light body and, you know, all that stuff. But,
Yeah.
you know, even when you were saying how, you know, you didn't resonate with the color of gray for Pluto and you went with purple, you know, knowing that taking ownership and self and this self authorship to know your magic is your magic, you know, and you
Mhm.
can do, you know, whatever you want as long as it resonates with you and as long as you're intentional about it and intentional about the way that you're connecting with these planetary energies or these deities, you know what I'm saying? And just
Yeah.
really being radically authentic and just real.
If I can, oh, sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I don't, yeah, yeah, please take the floor.
Okay, I was gonna, because you mentioned before, like, having those moments of like knowing that something is dying off of you, right? And having those negative emotions that are associated with that, right? And kind of like you're in it, but you also have like that, you're in the kind of in a liminal space almost. Like a lot of us on the spiritual path, like, yeah, like we have to be. We got one foot in, one foot out
Yeah.
at like all times, and that shit can be exhausting for sure. But I think that one thing, the reason why I've done those like big kind of rituals, right, is because of stuff like that. So
Mhm.
I've girl, because I'm same, I see you
Yeah.
like for real with that. And for me it's kind of like maybe because I have a lot of fixed energy. So it's like I know that the change is coming, but I don't know when, where, why, or how. Right. Because you just have the feeling, you just know, you just like, you feel a disturbance in the force. like,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's kind of like, okay, so what do I do about this? Right. And I think for me personally, I don't know if it rings true for you, but like sometimes when you grow or you finally do transition into those other parts, right? And you start reflecting on the past of who you were, like I, for one, a bitch love to be in denial. All right, that's like. So I'll be like, "Who? Me? I would never.
Me.
like that wasn't me. That was my body double. Bitch, I'm a clone. I don't know what you're talking about." So I'll have those moments, or have moments of like just cringing at my past self, right? Or
Yes.
just generally just not giving any love to that side of me. So with those like those rituals, like get comes the letting go, right? And to kind of like jumpstart that process on my subconscious of like, okay, yeah, I had these feelings that something needs to get released or had to, get dispersed. So just kind of feeding into that, and then also feeding it back into the love and like providing grace and support to that bitch I was in the past,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Something just came up just now. And now I'm asking for your personal opinion. if someone were to say pretty much, because I feel like this is a really huge part of shadow work is the forgiveness aspect. Now,
Hmm.
forgiveness, oh gosh, like I feel like that's such a big thing because it's like no, at one point in time I was like, why can't I forgive this person? I'm like, maybe they don't, completely deserve. Like everybody, like might not completely deserve it. Like that's a new concept that I kind of
Yeah.
have been coming into because it's I feel like I had it kind of conflated with like forgiveness and letting go of anger towards
Mm,
someone and thinking that, it's like, okay, can you forgive? It's like, can you forgive someone and still have like if you still have anger, does that mean you really forgave them? Or, what is how can forgiveness even benefit you? And that's like a whole like, it's such a
yes.
loaded, like, question, but I just feel like,
No, it's just because we can go
yeah.
everywhere with that.
We
But
really can, we really can. It's just like,
I want to say, oh, go
oh,
ahead.
yeah,
Sorry.
oh, like, pretty much for me, I was thinking about it from the aspect of carrying heavy things and wanting to hear "I'm sorry" or wanting to hear feeling like, feeling like it's something specific that you wanna hear that'll heal that aspect of yourself, but,
Mhm.
knowing that realistically, we don't always get that. We don't always receive those, moments of accountability from others, so, I guess the question is, how does one work through that type of energy within their shadow and knowing there might have been a wrongdoing or injustice and knowing that you might not see the justice in the way that you would want to see it.
Right. I'm actually very excited about this question.
Mhm.
And if I could give a personal like example
Yeah, yeah.
too. So for me, for one, I think I had to really uh, kind of define for myself what forgiveness is, right? And the boundaries of my forgiveness, right? And I had to also sit with the fact that those boundaries look different for different people, and the trials and tribulations that we went through. You know what I mean? So indiscretion of like a friend like stealing my roach after we just got done smoking, right? Like that takes a lot less forgiveness and maybe even like a oh like you fucking greedy bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
just like a
yeah.
playful like jab, whatever. Versus like going through like some more difficult like shit that you have to process, right? So like my father was abusive growing up, right? And he has this thing about and girl, I'm not a therapist psychologist, so I can't diagnose. I don't like
Right.
people that do that shit for real.
Yeah.
But he has this thing about him where he like legit his brain, I don't know, it like splits or something, and
Mhm.
he does not see any indiscretions that he's ever done,
Mhm,
ever.
mhm.
Like, and I'm not saying like he just doesn't want to talk, but like he literally does not
Right,
compute
yeah.
that, right? There's been times where I've gone back, right, to the back to him to live with him, whatever, and because I'm thinking like, oh, it's going to be different this time, and we had a talk about da da da, so everything's going to be coupled. No, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? I think a lot of us have like similar issues, right, with certain
Yeah.
people, especially that older generation. I don't know what the fuck, but
Yeah.
so for me, I had to really think about like, so what does forgiveness look like? Because when he he's the reason I got locked up. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
and yeah, and when I got out, like my mom, she was talking shit. Like a whole bunch of people were just like kind of like talking shit, and so I just stopped talking to my family for a couple years, but healing from my mom because I had to really like see her perspective and what she heard and the things that were going on in her life at the time, right? And I was able to sit down and process shit with her, and she was like, you know what? I apologize for this. I apologize for not seeing that, and da da da. All this other. She literally was like, look, anytime you want to talk about anything from the time you were born up until now that I've done to you, let me know. Like I will stop. We can have that conversation. That's what I needed to hear. That's how I needed to heal because I'm coming from a place where the adults in my life are not held accountable, and that's perfectly okay. But they want to do X, Y, and Z to the kids or the younger folk,
Right.
and it's just this weird disconnect. So her saying that, like, I wasn't necessarily ready to forgive, but I already got the wave of forgiveness wash over
Right.
me. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Because in that moment, like that's what my measure of like how I would forgive somebody is if
Yeah.
they held themselves accountable. My father has yet to hold himself accountable for anything,
Mhm.
right? So for me, it's like I cannot forgive.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even what does that look like? Like I forgive the situation,
Right.
I completely forgive the situation. I've gone back to that little girl who was like, in a room like this because she didn't want to hear shit or,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
cowering. Like I've already forgave those situations. I
Yeah.
forgive him in a sense of like understanding that he was perpetuating the same cycle that he experienced, right?
Mhm.
That don't mean he's coming to my cookout.
Right.
Like, it just, and I think so again, just managing where your boundaries of forgiveness look like, because I can say I forgive you, but that doesn't mean we have to fool with each other. And I think that a lot of people have that weird disconnect to where
Yeah.
it's like, well, no, if I forgive you, that means everything is all good and
Right.
gravy.
Right.
No,
Right.
no,
Yeah.
like is we don't have to be good. We don't have to fuck with each other.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why I think it's that culture of growing up where it's just like you fight with a friend or you fight with a sibling, and then they're just like your
Just
parents
get
or
over
whoever's in
it.
charge, like, give them a
Yeah.
hug.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm
Yeah.
not, I'm still fucking angry.
Right.
Like, she stole my truck. I wasn't done with
Exactly.
those Legos. Like,
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
yeah. So I just think that it just looks different for everybody. And that again goes back to your shadow work. So what does that look like for you? Sit down with yourself and really define like, I can forgive you. If I see my dad at like a family function or whatever, like it's whatever. But
Right.
I'm not about to I know myself and I know where I'm at, and I just
Mhm.
don't want to like there's no conversation that I can talk to like where it could be a copacetic conversation because of the way
Mhm.
his brain is set up. Like literally one of the last times I tried talking to him, like just casual conversation, he's just like, "Hey, you remember that time you got molested?" Nigga, we're eating mac and
Oh
cheese. What
my
does this have to do
God.
with why are you just bringing this up?
Right.
So I'm saying these
Yeah.
personal stuff to just kind of set that tone of like,
Yes. Yes.
that person and like the type of shit that they're gonna you just act accordingly. And there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to, we're not like we are the world. We ain't gotta hold hands over in this bitch and you can still forgive somebody.
Yeah.
Like, and that's big
That's
goddess
true.
God energy right there in itself.
Yeah.
Like you can be firm and fair.
That
And you
is
need to be firm and fair to
self-respect.
yourself. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Self-respect. Because a lot of times people say forgiveness as again, I'm gonna say buzz term again, um, for having a lack of self-respect. It's like you have to forgive, and they equate that with you have to shit on yourself for the betterment of everyone else.
Yeah.
No, no, the fuck you don't. That's just how I
Exactly.
see it.
Yeah.
But also, I want to say your Chiron can kind of come into play with this as well,
Oh,
especially because like that wounded healer energy. A lot of times too, like there's so Chiron to me, I feel like shadow work is a very individualized, personal thing that you have to go inward. But when you want to talk about your Chiron energy, that's literally something you need to outsource for. So whether
yeah.
it's a therapist, a friend, but just somebody that you need to talk this out or work things out with another person, because it's literally Chiron itself is telling you that you cannot heal yourself. This
Yeah.
is an
Yeah.
aspect of you that you cannot, like, you're not equipped to deal with this
Right.
alone. Like, you
Yeah.
need somebody else to come and show you X, Y, and Z, or show
Yeah.
you how to get to where you need to go for that,
Yes.
Um,
Thank you
but
for saying that, actually. Yeah. Because not and personally I don't know too much about Chiron, like not like to into the depths of who Chiron is, but just knowing, that wounded healer
mhm,
energy in those the kind of it's for me, it looks like the theme of like the theme of your life that, like kind of like that hard theme, you know what I'm saying?
yes,
This is
uh-huh,
something that's I've always had to kind of deal with, like this is something that's it's like one of the more recurring themes, you know what I'm saying? So for me, having Chiron in the third house, for me, that's that communication, you know what I'm saying? And like
mhm,
speaking up and talking like that Gemini energy. So I would definitely, recommend anyone watching this, check out these different placements that we're talking about. And, we can definitely like I see us like going more in detail, like in with the planets, like in a separate conversation if you're down for it.
for sure.
Yeah, but like definitely I would encourage anyone to check those placements out because that self-knowledge, it really puts you in a position of power to know, okay, these are the themes, this is what I've dealt with, this is the medicine, these are the different remedies for it, you know what I'm saying? And it's just taking all of the information that we learn and that we collect, like that we collect
Mhm.
and just really utilizing it, for our
Yeah.
benefit, for our
Because
healing.
if you don't, somebody else will.
Somebody,
Like straight up.
okay,
Especially because like people can like just sense your shit. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
if I know that I can get certain reactions out of you, I'm gonna do it. And if you don't
exactly.
have that knowing of yourself and why you deliver certain reactions or like transmuting those reactions,
Yeah,
whatever, like you're just gonna be a puppet all your
yeah,
life. You know,
exactly,
like
exactly.
yeah.
And I don't think in this age of Aquarius, honey, like I don't even think like the idea of being a puppet, for a lot of us is like,
Yeah.
"Oh, hell no, like I ain't gonna be nobody puppet." All right, get to work then. Get into your shadow work then if you don't want to be nobody
Yeah.
puppet, baby. Because
Only in the
you know,
bedroom.
yes, yes. Oh my goodness. So yeah, for me, it comes through in journaling. But there was a point in time where I was like an avid journaler, and then like when you were talking about kind of like you didn't directly say Uranus energy, but I felt it because like just it's like like it's just so much coming out at
Yeah.
once. So I will say, like for me, like a recent thing that I found myself doing is sometimes, and once again, that Aquarius energy is so fast, it might need a keyboard to get out, your emotions. Like,
Hmm.
don't be afraid, and not saying this to you, but just speaking now. Don't be afraid to utilize all vehicles, you know what I'm saying, that
Hmm.
can for expression, because it really is going to look different for everybody. I don't know if y'all can see this painting behind me. Um, but I was at one point, my shadow was popping out for this, and I was kind of in a darker energy.
Ooh.
And you can really see that I was playing around with the reds and the blacks. I like you got the red
It's
and black.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, artwork, is a beautiful way to kind of
Hmm.
move those. And even this little painting up here was another little shadowy energy type of
I've done
painting.
rage rooms.
Rage rooms.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Especially
Because,
on a Tuesday, girl. Get into it,
yes,
like,
exactly.
yeah.
Like, yeah, rage rooms. I've been to a rage room myself, and it's like, honoring anger. Like I have a giant staff stick here over here next to me. And like last year, like I was like really, I had so much anger. I was like, I need to get this out. And I literally took that stick and I was like, like beating the hell
Hmm.
out of a pillow, and if it looks crazy,
So be it.
like so be it, because that's where we get more into these
Yeah.
energies. When I think of, you already know, Miss Kali Ma. Okay, like honey,
Right. Yeah.
you ain't telling her she tripping. By the time you say you trip, she already done ripped off your head. Your head is already gone by the time you say trip.
Decapitation.
Okay, like, you know, learning more about these different beings or deities, or learning the stories of the gods and the goddesses of
Mhm.
darkness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Another one that I'm thinking of right now is Olokun. I don't know much about him, but I know that he's that underworldly abyss type of energy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know if who do you know, like God and Goddess.
Lucifer.
Yeah, I was about to say
Lucifer.
infernal wise, and you said
Yes.
yes.
Okay, so I would say for one, anytime I've worked with infernal spirits or demons, whatever you want to call them, right? To me, they're angels. Shit, they all
Yeah,
came from heaven. Like if you want to
yeah,
go in that lore, like fallen angels, like so you're a
yes,
fucking angel. I'm not about to call you a demon. You're an
yeah.
angel. Like yeah, like it is what it is. I just because some people the way that your brain is set up, the second someone says demon, you're like, you
Mm.
know. But it's like, is this all the same shit for real? For
Right,
real?
yeah,
Um, Hell, that's a story for another time, actually.
yeah.
I'm
And we
opening
do
that. We're
have
gonna talk later.
like
But
about a little under 4 minutes. So I didn't want you to get cut off.
gotcha. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, but Lucifer, especially with him being the light bearer, he literally shined a light on just all the aspects that I was just negative emotions, a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, a lot of like fear of being seen, just fear of just like myself and just being me, just out and
Yeah,
existing. A lot of anxieties. And so when I was working with him for this in particular, um, I remember I was going to a concert and I was going to cancel because I was just feeling so small and so ugly and just so like just wrapped up in my own shit. And um, obviously it's because I was working with him. He exposed that. It's not fun. It's not. That's another thing too. Some
it
days
ain't
are
cute.
great for that, but it's not. Yeah, it's not cute. It's not for the lighthearted. If you're not of sound mind and body, you'll probably want to slip and slide yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, so but for him, like I was like, okay, like I was still working with him. He's just like, no, you need to go look pretty, get in the mood, right? So I had to do what I had to do to get in that mood. And when I went, it was a good time, but I had this one person who was like recording me, just like trying to be messy. And I wasn't even doing nothing crazy. I wasn't even dancing for real. I was just kind of vibing and
Yeah.
rapping along and all that other stuff. And it's just this little bastard just like,
Uh,
and in that moment, like all of those emotions were coming back up. And then I had to remember who the fuck I was. And it
yes.
was, and
Yes.
I was just like, oh, okay, well, obviously you need something to see. So like, you know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
exactly. And just kind of again leaning into the light because that's what Lucifer does, the
Yeah.
light bearer. But
Yeah.
it was hard. Again, conversation for another time. It's we ain't got
Yeah.
the time. I don't know, but yeah.
But, like, literally everything you just said, once again, reminds me of the fact that you were like, there's certain things that we just need that help on. Like, don't try to do it alone. Like, don't try to, like, don't. I would say to anybody, don't approach shadow work thinking that it's something you're going to be doing completely alone. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Because
We don't do shit alone.
yeah,
We
we
don't do there
nothing.
is not one goddamn thing we do alone here. We
Not
need
even this
trees to
call.
breathe, goddamn
Like
it. Like
this, like,
everything is
yeah.
yeah. Like it's just you can't even say you breathe by yourself. No, you don't. Like you everything happen like again, everything is interpersonal.
Yeah, yeah,
So like and that was another thing too. If you feel like you're alone on your journey and doing your shadow work is just kind of exposing that. Think about all the people who make shadow work videos. You're not the only one. You're not the
exactly,
only like you
exactly.
are like again part of that collective. Like lean into that part of the zeitgeist because that's energy of itself. That collective energy. So and because we live in that duality, whatever you do, 50% of people are going to be on board, 50% are going to hate it. So just focus on the people who are going to fuck with it. You know what I mean? So that's just how I see it. It's like you're definitely not alone there. It's not shit alone on this planet.
Yes, yes.
I do this more often.
We back. We back here. All right, y'all. Look, this is the third. This is called dedication because this is the third Zoom video that we have started. But yes, I hope you remember um a little bit of what we were talking about.
Deities with
Oh
shadow work.
yeah.
Yeah.
But basically the main thing that I was saying is that we are not doing any of this alone. Were literally certain beings that were assigned to this planet to assist those of us who are going to be in these physical vessels to do this work. So it's like
Mhm.
really, really remembering that, especially when we're in those more darker times. For me, I'm pretty sure I think anyone who's been taking this walk for a certain amount of time has heard of the dark night of the soul. I
Mhm.
Dark night of the soul. And dark night of the soul is not just for me, it's not just one night. It ain't like, oh, you gonna now sometimes it is like and when it is like one night, it's like, oh,
Mhm.
it's one hell of a
It's
night.
like good. Oh
It's
yeah.
one night, it's one hell of a night.
Yeah. Don't you feel
Completely.
so like in that weird space? It literally it reminds me of like the full card in tarot. Like you're just kind of like about to leap
Yeah.
off of a ledge or something, but like in a
Yes.
very delicious manner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Where's my little book? Where's my little book? Hmm. Not quite sure where I had a little book that I wrote about the different stages like um for me hold on because I really want to find this. Not quite sure where it is right now, but um for me I think it's really important to know like what stage you're in as well. Like
Mhm.
being aware, especially if it's something. So a lot of times when we enter into these lower aspects and into these not lower aspects, but into I don't even want to and sometimes I don't even like saying lower because it's like it makes it seem like you being in a space of like sadness is low or lower
Right.
vibrational.
But we kind of need it though, right? It's
Yeah.
because again the duality. So it's
Yeah,
not really
like the
it's not the
highs and
word, it's the
lows.
people's interpretation of the word.
Yeah, that's
That's
true.
the real issue
That's
because
very
we
true.
need to praise our lower selves and our lower vibrations just as much as we do the high ones. Because
Yes,
we wouldn't get up here if we didn't sink down.
exactly.
So they need both, really.
Yes. I heard someone,
Yeah.
a close friend of mine literally one time said, like, I got roots in the underworld. So you gotta have,
Oh,
yeah, you gotta root yourself in the underworld, you know what I'm saying? And if you're rooted there, you doing you doing
not
something.
gonna lie, that bar goes hard.
Yeah, it did. When I first heard it, I was like, dang, like roots in the
Right?
underworld, because it's like, and this is when we get more back into this plutonic energy, Pluto also being associated with the underworld. And you mentioned Lucifer earlier, talking about like, and I'm not here saying, oh, like go practice demonology, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm still kind of
Mhm.
fresh within that world myself, you know what I'm saying?
Same. Yeah.
There are like these beings, whether they are infernal or whether it is someone like Archangel Michael,
Mhm.
who, you know what I'm saying, he's like, you're gonna, like, he be ripping veils and shit, like he be like,
Yeah.
you gonna see the truth.
Yeah. Oh, can I mention something? Because since we're touching on like the lighter, like
Oh
angel
yeah,
side
yeah.
of things, I think too, when it comes to experiencing toxic shame, right?
Mhm.
Um, Working with angelic spirits help a lot with just kind of getting back into that self-love,
Mhm.
right? Like, I
Mhm.
mean, which you can use the infernal spirits for, don't get me wrong now,
Yeah,
but it's just their methods are a little bit more
yeah,
different.
but
So
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So especially when it comes to the shame, like I wasn't really ready to address that when I worked with Lucifer, but when I did my angelic work, and I was just like they were just holding me, right, and just speaking life into me and showing me just like yeah, I'm not a perfect person, but look at how much you like just try, right?
Yeah,
Not try, because we do, like you're
yeah,
doing the things, right? And so allowing yourself that grace and giving ourselves credit, which again, if you have a lot of Saturn energy, depending on your placements, depending on or a lot of Capricorn energy, right, y'all be hard as fuck on yourselves. Nothing is ever good enough. You never strived hard enough. You can be like bruised, bloody, and like just battered, and you would still be like, nah, I ain't do it for real, for real. I still got both of my legs working. That wasn't shit. Like,
yeah, yes.
yeah. So, yeah, definitely dealing with just kind of going a little easier on yourself, right? Or just kind of seeing your divinity, which I feel like we can also have a problem with in our shadows, right?
Mhm.
Working with those angelic spirits will like help you kind of again like reset and realize like again, you don't have to be perfect. Like is that taking that black and white thinking out of everything and just be like, you
Yeah,
know what? I am a human and I do human shit sometimes, and that is perfectly fine because that's what the fuck we incarnated down here for.
yeah, yeah.
That part, that part,
Yeah,
that
that part drops mic.
part.
Okay. Let me look at my notes real quick.
Right.
Um,
Oh, and I lied because I said that I had to I was free till 2, but I actually have a call at 1. So we
okay,
got about like
okay,
15.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
If that's cool.
cool.
I mean we can hop back later on if you need if
Okay,
that's
yeah. All
if
right, well,
needed tonight. But yeah.
before we go, um, yeah, we kind of hit on most of the things. Yeah, we hit on most things. We talked about Lilith, we talked about Chiron, we talked about Saturn, we talked about Pluto. We talked about the moon a little bit. The only one we didn't hit on really that much was Neptune. Um, and you brought up, so I would
Yes.
love to know if within
Yeah.
within discretion of the time, if you could go a little bit more into, the role that Neptune plays, and then after that, we'll just get into a few of the different resources and, sign off.
For sure, for sure. Oh, but you mentioned Lilith again, and
Mhm.
I only mentioned the sex thing with Lilith, and
Mhm.
I just don't want to end with that being the only thing.
Right, yeah, to
Yeah,
honor
because
her, yeah,
right, and
yeah,
it's just very typical. Of course, like Lilith is
like,
the sexiest.
right,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. But she's actually like how you mentioned before, like this is kind of a way that people can have power over you with
mhm,
like your shadows and stuff. So she's actually one of the energies or that placement, right? I should say of so your black moon Lilith, it kind of is a mirror and it shows you it gives us power within ourselves by revealing what has power over you. And it's in a very intense way, almost in the same light as kind of like that Neptunian energy because it does Neptune ruling escapism so to speak. So like, and Lilith is a little bit more intense because it'll be like, okay, you like to escape. You're just gonna like, you might smoke a blunt a day, but now it's like she's gonna be like, no, you're gonna smoke a whole ounce. How you feel after that, bitch?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, um, and so I would say like Chiron is kind of more like the shadow, right? But Lilith is like true repression,
Yeah,
right? So like a lot of times it's like stuff that you wouldn't even admit to yourself privately,
yeah.
right? She can conjure that up, so it's helpful in that way.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so but when it comes to Neptune, um, I would say that again, with it ruling escapism, some of the more negative characteristics being like confusion, fraud, deception, um, and like shit. Anytime we lie to ourselves, like we're kind of tapping into those negative aspects of Neptune,
Mm.
right? So, calling on that energy again with the same type of planetary ritual, right, to expose your shadow. So, if you know that you like to again, so if you like, I was saying like TV was my big thing, so sacrificing that time but in the name of Neptune to kind of like expose what am I escaping from, because
Right.
I don't know what the fuck it is. It's so far repressed down.
Yeah,
Like I just know I like to binge a Netflix series
yeah,
and just negate all like just forget about all of my responsibilities and just sit in front of a TV for like 3 days, like.
yeah.
So Neptune will help you understand, well, why do you like to do that? So to expose those traits, to bring those to the conscious mind. And it also, rules your memories, your subconscious, your intuition. So
Mhm.
you can kind of play around with those aspects of it, especially when it comes to, so if you want to lie to yourself, why don't you lie about the trauma that you experienced?
Right,
And pretend that it didn't happen.
right,
Literally use that Neptunian energy, recreate a different story. And I know that
right.
Brother Panic mentions that before, and some other,
Yes.
like, yeah.
It's like a
Um,
kind of chaos magic, isn't it?
Exactly. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, Neptune is chaotic as
Yeah,
hell.
it is. It
Yeah.
is. It is.
Yeah, for sure. But
Like
yeah,
rewriting your story pretty much.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like at first, when I heard like that concept of rewriting your own story, I was just always thought like, oh, that's not real. That's fraudulent. Da, 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 da. But your current story is fraudulent because someone else wrote it for you. You played a part
Ooh!
in someone else's story. Like you took on, like they gave you character traits and you just ran with the shit. You didn't even try to revise the script at all. You didn't say, actually, I'm feeling that my character would be more suitable for, like, you know what I'm saying? Right. So yeah, I just that whole concept of like what is actually real, you know, like I mean
Yeah.
not tangible, but you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
what, yeah, keeping it
Yeah.
real for yourself, like whatever the
Yeah.
fuck you feel like.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
The Lulu is the Salulu. That's what that's Neptune's. That's Neptune's motto. But
That's
yeah,
right.
yes. But we're gonna wrap this up, y'all. It was a very beautiful, at least I wonder if I had to guess like 40, but it was like almost 2 hours. A little
Shit, it
under.
felt like a 30-minute
It
conversation.
really
Oh my
did. Like every
God.
time it was like, oh, you only have 9 minutes left. I'm like, what you talking about?
Right, we only been here for 9 minutes. What you talking about?
Literally. So I really hope that everybody watching this really just, was able to get something out of it, was able to learn something new, something different, or just really even just have your own reflections or have your own, epiphanies or like your own realizations. You know what I'm saying? So well, first, I want to drop a few resources, okay, because resources are very important.
Yes.
Creating
No
abundance.
gatekeeping.
Exactly. Creating abundance for others creates abundance for yourself. And, that's just kind of how, these these natural laws kind of work.
For
But
sure.
we're gonna drop some resources. So Carl Jung, um, you mentioned Carl Jung earlier.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't have any specific books or nothing. Just watch like some YouTube videos, man.
Exactly. That's what I was
Just
gonna
watch it,
say.
like
That's why I just had the name
familiarize yourself
written.
with the philosophy. Just do that.
Exactly. Familiarize yourself and just like, you know what I'm saying? Because he spoke a lot of facts. And if you're new to shadow work, if you're new to the realm of shadow work, I feel like that is a very good kind of intro into the
Yeah.
world. Uh-huh.
Especially it's more sciencey too. So
It
if you're
is.
not with the woo woo of it all,
Exactly.
he'll help you with that
We're
because there is
breaking
a
down
science
into
to
facts.
it. Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Where is my book? 1 second.
Oh, I'll get mine too. Shit, because
Yes,
I
yes. Um, A beautiful book. This is called Momentum by a shadow work guide and journal written by Quinn Barber. Okay.
Ooh.
This is a very beautiful beginner shadow work book. Okay. It is a guide and journal. It is packed and filled with resources, information, even on places, even mental health resources. Okay, because once again, a huge thing that was very important to, I believe, both of us is therapy, therapy, therapy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Going to therapy, and getting if you feel like there needs to be some type of diagnosis, going and getting that diagnosis, so that that's a whole different subject right there, because when you know exactly what it is that you're dealing with mentally, you can learn how to better equip yourself with it. Okay. So
Exactly.
for me,
Exactly.
I'm diagnosed with ADHD, but I am undiagnosed with what I feel, might be BPD or bipolar, you know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, but also, even if you can't go to, for me, I'm not a big like diagnose this person type of person, but I am do the research on the mental health disorder itself.
Exactly.
Do the research on
Yeah.
it, see where you resonate with it, and just start doing the research on what other people do. But yes, your resource, your book.
Oh, so I saw Priestess Osset brought men with these books, so I
Oh
went and bought these
yeah.
books.
Oh yes.
You know.
Yes. Big shout out
Mostly
to
this
her.
one though, I used for reference tool though, if I'm being honest. The
Uh-huh.
other one's a little bit more, old
Mhm.
school. Also, this has nothing to do with this conversation, but
Mhm.
maybe for next time, I have these really cute like horoscope, like sex astrology books,
Oh
and
yeah.
I'm like, that would be a fun topic
That
sometime.
would be,
if,
yes.
if that's what the people want.
Right. Yes.
But yeah, that's The Courage to Be Disliked. Again, good resource. But yeah,
Mhm.
that's pretty much what I
Awesome.
got. Yeah.
Okay. And one more time, like your Instagram and where people can find you. Instagram, YouTube.
Oh, so you can actually find me in the Sixth Circle of Hell. I'm there Tuesdays and Thursdays from like 2 to 4 p.m. And any other time, my YouTube channel is Solar Sees the World, and Instagram, Solar Empress Tarot.
Yes. All right. And all of that is going to be in the description. Wherever y'all watching this information is going to be there. Okay. All right. All the
Y'all
books,
figure it out.
YouTube. Oh my goodness. And once again, I am Mother Creatrix, also known. I am Bree. Okay. I think I
The
got it.
beautiful,
Yes.
elegant,
Thank you.
magnificent,
Oh,
articulate,
oh, goodness.
wonderful.
Thank you so much. And thank you for coming. Thank you for being a part of this conversation. Thank you for sharing your opinion, your thoughts, how you feel, your experiences, your vulnerability. I truly thank you. This has been my first podcast with anyone, like doing a podcast with a different person, like just outside of myself. This is it. This is the very first. So, yeah.
Yay.
Yes, okay. Like, I'm very happy. I'm very honored to have done this with you.
Girl, who are you talking to? Like,
Like,
same over here. Are you kidding me? Like, just being on your platform. Like, I was like, you don't understand. I went through like so many different emotions.
oh my goodness. But yes, yes, yes. Okay.
Okay.
Beautiful, beautiful last conversation. If y'all fuck with it, come rock with us on our Instagram, YouTube. My YouTube is the Mother Creatrix right now. TikTok, Mother
Mother.
Creatrix. Okay. All of them. All right. Solar Sees the World on YouTube. Solar Empress Tarot on Instagram. Okay. Y'all go rock with us. All right. And you know what I'm saying? We signing off. Get into your shadow work. Okay. Get into your shadow work so we can be a little, we can pack light, and we can really like live the lives that we were meant to live, and not have to carry all
Mhm.
this baggage and heaviness with us wherever we go. Okay. So, all right.
Yes.
Peace out. Keep it light. We're going to fuck with you later in the next conversation. Until next time.
Bye bye.
Yes.